Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with another Facebook Live. As you can see, okay, Richard is in a very wonderful area. Richard David from Sedona, Arizona. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you for having me, Rick. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. So tell us a little about yourself. How long you've been doing this? All that good stuff, please.
Yes, sir. I've been in the a professional real estate agent for the last year. Got my license last July, and have been practicing since. I got into real estate because I've had a lot of multifamily experience, and I'm a private investor for myself, and decided it was time to start representing myself and not look for some different agents. I've had some horrible agents in the past, and I knew I could do a better job. So that's what motivated me.
I was going to say a lot of times the people like yourself, we've got a few of them in the company that they're like, wow, I can do better than that. So I think I'm going to get my license. And yes, right. It's a pretty, it's a eye-opening experience, I think sometimes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Especially if it goes poorly.
Right. Exactly right. So, okay, do you do, do you own properties in Sedona? Is that part of where you invest? Is Sedona, Arizona?
I'm originally from the Valley, so I have investments down in the Valley. I've had everything from apartment buildings to group homes, fourplexes, duplexes. I just really believe in the multifamily and honestly, real estate in general. Great wealth building and generational wealth building tool. So that's kind of where I got started. I'm living in Flagstaff full time, so my brick and mortar is out of Sedona, but I really focus on the Flagstaff market and the surrounding areas.
Oh, you're in Flag. Okay, I got it. All right, good. Yes. So, yeah, just like Patrick, live in Flag, work and have the office in Sedona. I love it. Such a
Yeah.
great backdrop. Is that your backyard?
Yes, sir, it is.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Do you also do a
Thank
little skiing out there too when the area is open?
Yeah, do a little skiing, get up to Snowball, and take the kids up there. There's some great family areas to enjoy. But even during the summertime, you can go up on the gondola and go up to the top of the mountain, bring a picnic up there. It's about 20 degrees cooler than in Flagstaff. So when it gets those few days where we're over 90, we can jump up there and be in the 70s.
Yeah, I remember the first time I went to Flag, we stopped there and it was like it was like September too, and it was 56 degrees in the morning. I was like, wow, I can't remember the last time it was 56 degrees in the morning. But
Yeah,
no, because I'm from Vegas, obviously. But we do have mornings like that, but it takes at least into December, late November for that to start happening.
sure. Yeah, we're kind of starting fall here already. So it was about 50 degrees this morning, and it warms up. I mean, it should be 80 degrees today. So it'll be a beautiful, beautiful day.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a great place to live. Really, I mean, it's such a beautiful area. I mean, I don't think people understand how many beautiful places Arizona and Nevada have, not only to live in, but to go see. Like, you can do day trips all the time. I know people that live in Arizona and, they haven't been to the Grand Canyon. If you haven't been to the Grand Canyon, you should definitely go. It's quite the experience.
Yes, it is. And you can get the America Beautiful Pass, and you can go to all the parks for a year for about $80. So it's a great opportunity, especially to see one of the seventh wonders of the world and being so close to it. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's one of those places that pictures make it look awesome, but it's nothing like when you're actually there.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
It's kind of like it's kind of like Sedona or Flagstaff, right? They look great on pictures, but when you go there, you're like, okay, now I understand. It's like absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, no, I agree. Sedona's beautiful.
So tell us a little about your business. Like, what do you focus on? I know you do investing and so forth. What about the sales part? What are you doing there?
Yeah, so the sales part, I'm really focused on right now lead generation. I have a bunch of a lead database that I've been working through that has about 23,000 people in it, predominantly buyers. I have some sellers in there as well. I was really focused more on the sellers market or listing homes really up until about 2 or 3 months ago when interest rates weren't really coming and interest rates were high. And so I started focusing more on buyers. And so I've had some great conversions and some great opportunities with some different buyers that have come through. So it's been more of a balanced approach now. I'm kind of doing 50-50, looking for both listings and buyers at the same time.
That's good. Especially in today's market with everything going on, I think because here's the thing: when you prospect for listings, you automatically get buyers too, right? Because
Right.
half the houses you list, they want to buy from you once they sell anyway. So you kind of, kill two birds with one stone, as the saying goes, by focusing mostly on listings.
Yeah. I agree, absolutely. And a lot of it's just telephone work. I mean, the old school way of jumping on the phone, dialing, making calls, connecting, networking. And so just reaching out. I do direct mailer campaigns as well to try and attract more leads. But that's kind of been my focus is just getting on the phone. I was at the beginning of the year doing about 140 calls a day, about 1,600 calls a month. And then kind of just focusing on filling in the gaps where needed. So open houses, door knocking, and direct mailers. So it's been, when you're a new agent, as I've learned and experienced, you have to continue to pound the sand until you get some traction and you get some momentum going. And then once you get to that referral base, that's great. But until then, you have to build that up. So it's been a nice challenge.
Yeah, it's true. Once you hit like year, it depends how many people you know. But yeah, 3 to 5 years in the business, it totally changes everything, and you're getting more repeat and referral, and it just seems to go a little bit easier after that. But like anything else, you're starting a business. You got to lay the foundation. You got to do all the things that we hear are true, especially in real estate, because it is a huge upside business, though, isn't it?
Yeah, huge upside business.
Yeah. So, all right. So your numbers, are you that database of numbers? Do you focus on a particular area? Like, is it a gigantic farm? Do you include expireds and for sale by owners in there? How exactly do you work it? And what's your script like as far as over the phone right now?
Yeah, when I'm calling, I do call expireds, I do call canceleds, and I've had great success with them. I like to do a door presentation. So once I've touched base, or if I can't get anyone on the phone, I'll come to their house with a pre-made CMA for them. I'll present it to them on their porch. I've done that many times. I spent 45 minutes with someone I've never met, and I've been able to secure the list from them doing that style. I really like Derek Lipsky. He has a great cold call script that I've been able to modify and kind of tailor to my style, and so I think that's been pretty successful. And then obviously with warmer leads, it's more of listening to their needs, finding what they're looking for. I like to set up property searches, follow up, touch base. Using KV Core is a phenomenal system because it shows when they're on the system, when they're on the website, what they're looking at, what their behavior is, and so it really helps me to fine tune to those that are more interested than those that are just kind of kicking tires.
Right. Yeah, I've seen him on YouTube. A few of his. He's very energetic and teaches. Does a great job. We always have to mention when we're talking about telephone prospecting that we do not call the do not call list. We stick within
Right.
the rules, right? Because that's important in today's market. It really is.
No, it really is, and that's one of the things that Patrick's really made sure that I'm following. And so I scrub all my numbers through the do not call list that Berkshire Hathaway provides. So I make sure that they're all approved, and once they're approved, then I can move forward with telephone calls. But like you said, there's so many people that are looking for those who are violating the do not call and then wanting to penalize. So don't want to
Right.
get into that side of the business. So make sure that we're always following the rules. And that's one of the things that I just absolutely love and appreciate about Berkshire Hathaway is they follow the rules to a higher level than other brokerages that I've been with in the past.
Well, thank you. Yes, that's what we try to do. I mean, we have an interior, like you said, we have an interior do not call list. There's also a national do not call list, and we try to match them up. Because when someone says "do not call me," I'm on the do not call list. We make sure we log them internally. But yeah, so but there's still, I mean, the phone is still a viable legal way to make money in today's market. I think it's important for people to hear that because it is a very efficient way to talk to a number of people.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I enjoy talking. I enjoy being in person as well, but that takes a little bit more time. You can't quite cover the same numbers as you can over the telephone. And if you have a great do not call list that you can run your database against and kind of filter those people out and then focus on those that you're allowed to call, and especially who have shown interest, who have signed up on the website, who have asked to have properties sent to you, you can just touch basis, and really kind of nurture that relationship. I have had some clients that I've been speaking to for over a year, and we're now under contract. And so it's just part of nurturing that relationship and building it. It's not necessarily going to be an instantaneous transaction, but it's going to be a network building and a relationship building type of transaction. So that's what's a lot of fun about those.
And those are the two key words right there: network. Build your network. We have tremendous tools to help you here too with the virtual agent center. The neighborhood reports, the market reports, the newsletters. There's so many different ways. The birthday cards, the anniversary. There's so many ways you can keep in touch with them paperless too, which is I think is good today in today's green world, especially where you are, right? You got to stay green,
Right.
right? So, and then there's social media as well, right? How are you doing there? Is that part of the network you're talking about?
It is part of it. I'm not a huge social media guy. I've tried to increase my influence over the last year. I do basically a weekly data local market report, and so I'll pull all the numbers from Flex MLS here in Flagstaff. Report basically actives, pendings, close, average price, sales price, price per square foot, number of days on the market, and that's really powerful for me for two reasons. One, I get to put it out there, and I've had a lot of people that have emailed me back or text me or direct message me and said, "Hey, I really like this. Thanks for sharing this information with me." But two, it really helps me for when I'm out on the street or I'm door knocking to be able to be familiar with the market and share that knowledge with potential clients that are wanting to know what are the days on the market. Well, it's currently 90 days. Last week it was 89 days, and so to be able to have just an immense market data analysis every week just is a powerful tool.
Right. I love it. I love it. Good. Good. Okay. So I think I'm going to ask you a slightly different question because normally I like to talk about the top three things, but since you're an investor, what would be like, okay, so I want to get into investing. I'm thinking about maybe, buying a second, a condo or maybe a two family. Um, what's the best way for someone who, let's say, owns their own house, but wants to get involved, invested? What would be the two or three things that you would tell them to get on that journey? Because I have a lot of agents that ask me that question.
Well, I think one way to get on the journey is to be aware of what the market is doing. I was at NAR, Northern Arizona Association of Realtors, annual meet or quarterly meeting, and they had the chief economist on there. And one of the pieces of information that he shared that I found was very interesting is it takes 2 years from permit to build to complete in the Phoenix area. Obviously, a little bit different in Flag and Sedona and whatnot, but 2 years to complete multifamily. And so all the permits that were pulled 2 years ago are coming to completion now. And so we're having an abundance of units right now. So that's obviously lowering rental prices and lowering overall costs. But what he said, which was really interesting to me, is that there's no permits being filed right now. And so in 2 years, there's going to be another shortage of multifamily. And so obviously rents are low right now. Obviously rents will go up in a couple of years. And so looking for those market trends of when is the best time to invest and get in. I got in during 2013 and 14 after the last recession and crash. I waited for the market to bottom out. Interest rates were really low, so I was able to finance and really kind of leverage what I had to be able to purchase something maybe that was larger than I would have been able to do in a tighter market. One of the things that I look for is unique properties. So where I bought my apartment building, I noticed that they had future plans for a light rail to go in. And so I went around and I drove around all over Phoenix and I looked for those areas on the light rail. And was it a positive impact on those areas? Did it improve those properties? Did rents go up on those areas? Was it seen as overall a positive for properties? And what I found is yes, a lot of areas that are outside of Arizona, those areas are kind of rougher and tougher, and the property values don't necessarily hold. But here in Arizona and in Phoenix specifically, I found that there's a huge increase. And so I went and I bought property on a future light rail project, which ended up coming to fruition while I was there before I listed and sold my building. And so I think you have to find unique properties. I think that's the first step. You don't want to find just run of the mill, cookie cutter, easy to be replaced properties. What's going to drive tenants to your property? What's going to help you hold your monthly rates higher than everyone else's? And on the same hand, how are you going to be positioned for when or if you want to sell in the future? And so if you have a unique property that's positioned in those kind of terms, then that really bodes well for rents and for resale properties. So I would say that if you have a single family home, if you have some equity in it, a great way to do is to pull out some equity. And rates are coming back down here, and with the abundance of multifamily that's currently coming to the market, you're going to have another one of those sweet spots where rates are going to be low and building prices are coming down. And so that'll be a great opportunity to get into the market.
Wow, that's a great idea. So basically, do your homework, know your areas, look for those specialty properties. I love. What made you think of the light rail? Was that just something that was for transportation? Because a lot of people that own, want to take the public transportation to work and so forth, right?
Yeah, so I was looking for kind of a C or B style building. I wasn't looking for A property. One, mostly because I couldn't afford it, and I wanted more doors. So obviously, with more doors, you have more ability to write off expenses. You're not as tied to one or two tenants. If you have more doors, then if a tenant goes down or if you have a vacancy, it's not as impactful with just one or two units. And so, what I found with the property that I was looking for is that a lot of people that fit into that realm in that demographic were interested in light rail. That was a huge plus for them. That was they didn't want to necessarily drive a car into downtown Phoenix or drive through the traffic or spend that time. They would rather jump on the light rail, walk down to the light rail, eat their breakfast while they're going to work, and then have that commute back as well. You're not dealing with traffic or parking or expensive parking. And so it just seemed for the demographic that I was looking for, it was a much better fit.
That's smart. I like it. I like it. And those types of properties, if you're willing to do the work and spend the time, like you say, they can be B or C properties, but they end up being very, very well as far as profitable because you've improved the property, you've spent the time, and so forth. So the difference between what you pay and buy, or what you are into it for versus what you're renting, your return on investment is going to be good if you spend a little time figuring it out. I like that. That's really good.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that I had an agent down in the valley that was great. He was a multifamily guy and he really kind of brought me under his wing. And one of the things he taught me is there are no great deals right now. You have to be able to buy a property that needs to be repositioned and then reposition that property. And so being able to take a property that, for example, my apartment building was about $700, $650 when I bought it. When I sold it, we were leasing it for $1,300. And so to be able to raise your rents and be able to reposition it, to do some tenant improvements, so that the kitchens are better, the conveniences are better, the quality is better. Then you get a better tenant, you get a better quality tenant, and who's going to pay on time. And so it's really beneficial and behooves the owner to buy a property that maybe needs some improvements because you're just going to benefit from that both on the rental side and from the resale side.
And from the resale equity side too. I love it. I love it. And like you
Yeah.
said, it's a tax deduction while you're doing all of it too on your personal taxes.
Yep. Absolutely.
Now, I'm curious, Richard, when you decided to go into the investment, were you still working somewhere else or did you just jump in and do that full time?
No, I was working somewhere else. I owned a pool service and repair company in the valley for about 11 years, and then I ended up selling that in 2021. And so I did both until I was able to transition out of that and into the next business. And so after I was able to do that, I moved into group homes. I had an assisted living home, a residential assisted living home in Scottsdale, and we did operated that through COVID and all those challenges. And then I just decided, this is too stressful for me. I have young kiddos. I need to make sure that I'm going to be around to take care of them and teach them. And so to me, it was a transition period coming from one to the next into currently where I am now. And so making that change and that a progression, going through 1031 exchanges, having personal experience with that, knowing how to operate during those time periods was just very educational. And I thought that was experience that I could bring to potential clients in the future. A lot of agents that I've talked to know about 1031 exchanges, but haven't necessarily been through one. They don't necessarily know all the steps and stages and timeframes and the stress that comes with that. And so that's just more knowledge that I can bring to my clients. And so that was kind of the progression there.
Yeah, and there are a lot more of those going on right now too, based on the way the market is and so forth. People coming from California, people coming from Washington, Oregon, Minnesota, New. I mean, they're coming. I mean, Arizona is a hotspot. Whether it's Flag or Sedona or definitely Scottsdale, Phoenix area. It's all that knowledge is good. You need to use a company. I think a lot of people don't understand the whole process of how it's going. So having that experience is huge, especially when you're dealing with somebody who needs that because they want to deal with somebody with experience.
Yeah. And I mean, this is typically if you're doing 1031, you're trying to defer taxes, as that's the whole point of it. And you want to be able to make sure you meet all the criteria to be able to do that. It's really kind of self-defeating if you go through 80% of it and you're unable to complete it, and then you're still paying capital gains because you just put a whole lot of time, effort, and money into a 1031 exchange company to be able to do that. And so, there's time frames. I know when I went through, we identified 3 properties, and before I could close, 2 of them sold. And so my choice was the last one I identified because I was outside of my identification period. And so making sure that we were able to secure that property, be able to make sure we moved through that process was huge because the downside was a lot of capital gains.
Right. Yeah, a lot of capital gains, and they're talking about hopefully they don't raise them, but I mean the whole idea of the way they're set up is really good for real estate. So hopefully it stays very similar to the same.
Yeah, hopefully it does.
All right, so you were doing both. You were doing the pool thing. You were doing the buying, rentals and so forth, and then you segued into real estate full time. How was that transition?
It was good. I had been retired for about 3 years. I was being a stay-at-home dad, and it, it was one of those where I like hobbies, and real estate's one of those where no matter where I travel, I always go to open houses. I always look at different properties, no matter where I'm at, and it was something that was very intriguing to me. And so it was a pretty easy transition. I got into the school. I went through the school in 4 weeks. A week after I got out, I took my class exam, passed that. Within a week later, I passed the state exam and was up and rolling within about 6 weeks. And so it was just something that came easy because I just loved what I was studying and what I was learning. And I love investing my time into it. And one of the goals that I like to do, and again, because it's a hobby to me and I enjoy it so much, my goal is to see every home that's currently active on the market. That is beneficial for me for when my listings come up. I know how to price my listings correctly because I know what the competition is out there, but also for buyers, being able to go out there and say, okay, you're interested in this home. Perfect. I've toured it. These are the questions that I can answer for you. This is the insight that I have for you, and anything you're looking for, I'm happy to get those answers for you. And so it was an easy transition because I love real estate so much.
Yeah, it sounds like yeah. When you love it a lot, it makes it so much easier. But it must have been fun staying home and be the stay at home dad. But after 3 years, you probably go, okay, I need something to do.
Yeah, it was great being with the kids and being a stay-at-home dad. But I'm a worker. I typically do two or three things at a time, and that's why I've dove so hard into this. I don't need to, but I do it because I enjoy the challenge. I love the game of real estate. I love calls. I love networking. I love overcoming objections, and I love being able to show people property and help them. I mean, I've had a lot of people say, well, is this going to be a good investment? And I can underwrite the property. I understand what the lenders are looking for. I understand what the requirements are. I can walk them through and say, okay, this is where we're currently set up now. You could do X, Y, and Z and reposition the property and be here in 2 or 3 or 4 years. And it's just a passion. And I think that comes through when I'm interacting with my clients because they can see that I don't just do this as a job. I do this as something that I do it for myself. I do it for my friends. I do it for my family, but I do it because I just love being in real estate. And so diving in as hard as I have over this last year has been great. My goal for this year, and this was set back at the beginning of the year, before interest rates, they were talking about 4 interest rate cuts and this and that and the other, and it's going to be a different market and different economy, was 24 units. And so I've kind of set up a 5-year goal of I want to do 25% of all real estate transactions in Flagstaff within 5 years. And so right now, this year, next year, and the next year, I'm laying the groundwork to have lead generation. I'm trying to get 4 or 5 sources of lead generation coming in, door knocking, getting my name out there, attending all the NAR events that I can, interacting with all the agents I can, going on luxury tours, going on listing tours, doing everything I can so that people know who I am, my name gets out there, and it's just another avenue to do it. And so I jump into it this hard because I'm a worker. I like to work. Sitting at home, you get bored. I mean, it's easy. It's nice to just sit in front of the TV, but it's not mentally challenging. And I love the mental challenge of real estate.
Yeah, it is, and it's very fulfilling too because, like you said, you're helping people with their wealth, generational wealth. You're helping people set up their futures, their retirements. Real estate is a great way to do that. Saving taxes, you got all that
Yeah.
going, and the business end that you're talking about, selling a business. There's a lot of aspects to real estate. It's like you're a walking, talking business, and you're helping people with their future goals. And fortunately for us, I mean, real estate happens to be their home happens to be for a lot of people their number one asset and tax deduction.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said and hinted there, helping people is one of the best things. I mean, being able to help someone who doesn't necessarily believe in real estate, or their family has never owned real estate, and helping them to get into such a wealth generating asset is such an amazing feeling and phenomenal feeling. And especially once they decide, okay, well, life has changed. I need a bigger house or a smaller house or relocation. And now they're selling their asset. And like you said, one of their biggest assets, and they see the positive growth from it. Now they're hooked. Now they're into real estate. Now they want to buy a second home. Now they're interested in multifamily. And that's just, it's contagious.
That is. It's definitely contagious, and and the other thing is it's the topic. It's always the topic, no matter where you go. How's real estate values? What's happening? What's going on with the market? What's with the interest rates? Hey, I thought the Fed was gonna drop rates. Well, they're gonna drop them now, allegedly, supposedly, maybe, sometime in September. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the chief economist of the association is predicting cuts through all next year. I've heard possibly even 3 cuts this year, 1 cut now, and so I think again it's up in the air. You have to look at all the data. You have to read the financial articles, which is very interesting to me. Follow the Fed's reports. And you try and educate your clients to the best of your ability. No one has a crystal ball. No one knows when they're going to do it. But looking at the market, looking at inflation, looking at employment rates, CPI, these are such great indicators. And so having that information and then with the rate cuts coming, I think it's going to unleash a whole bunch of buyer potential that's been pent up. And I think as we get down closer to the 5 to 6%, they're talking about that's going to be one of the biggest buying booms in real estate history, with all the millennials that have been sitting on the sidelines for the last 15 years. And so it's just a phenomenal time to get into this industry.
Time to get those millennials out of their parents' basements.
Yes, let's do that.
No, I agree. I think it's a huge. I call it a warehouse. There's a warehouse of people waiting for something to happen, and we know what it is. I mean, look at, I own a couple investments myself, and I don't have anything over 3.1 for an interest rate. So, I mean, people have their houses at 2.75, 2.5. So they're waiting. Now, I don't know what that number is. It might be 5, it might be 4.75, it might be 5.5. But when that rate gets to where they feel comfortable doing it, it's going to create more inventory. And I do agree it's going to create a boom. Because I tell you something, I've been doing this for 39 years. I've had my license since I was 19 years old.
Wow.
Since COVID, I've said, well, that's a new one, more times than I think, the 30 years before that. But, I never would have thought the best 18 months in real estate I ever saw would have been halfway through COVID to the end of 2022. But I think you're right. I think we might have something close to that. Who knows? Maybe even bigger than that in the bank when these rates start coming down. And I agree with you. I think it'll be at least 1 or 2 this year, and a whole bunch. Look at, they waited too long to raise it. They raised it too fast. Now they've left it too long. It's just typical government crap. They're always behind. I don't get it. They should. Every one of them should have to spend at least 10 years in the private sector before they get anywhere near politics. But that's not what happens. So we'll see what happens there too.
Right, I agree on that.
When you balance, when you have a checkbook that doesn't have a balance, you just print more money and you create inflation. But when you have to run a business, you can only spend what you have, and then you learn how to juggle and run a business. And this country is just one big business. So we'll see. I think we're gonna have a good year next year. It might take a little while to kick in gear, but it's coming soon.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. And Flagstaff's a cyclical market. I mean, a lot of times we shut down and sales really slow between November and January, February, depending on when the snow leaves, because a lot of people don't want to go out there. Now, there's still sales happening. There's still buyers looking to buy and sellers looking to sell. But you have those people that are waiting for that optimal weather where they're not trumping through 2 feet of snow to get to the front door to walk through the property. But it's going to come, and I think because Flagstaff is a little bit lagging behind necessarily the Phoenix market because of our weather, I think when our season comes, it'll hit, and I think it'll be really, really, really strong here.
Good. Well, sir, I just want to say this has been very educational. I'm sure a lot of people got a lot out of this today, Richard. I really appreciate you taking your time out. Thank you very much. We'll do this again sometime, and look forward to seeing you next time I'm up at the Sedona office.
Sounds great, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
See you, everybody.
Bye.